Hello all, welcome back. Last time we spoke, I shared my forbidden information with you all, and I've come back with more delusional ramblings. The Ministry of Truth was impressed with my work, and I've been upgraded to my C rank citizenship. Since then, I've been living the high life on Mort, working my 13-hour shifts in the sulfur mines for the good of our democracy. In this time, however, the Ministry of Truth has approached me with a brand new deal, with the reward being a very gracious upgrade to my citizenship from rank C to rank C+. With more money to continue my bad behaviour, I wanted to look at a weapon that gets seldom used by our fellow Helldivers, a weapon that gets a bit of a bad rap. Today I bring you my findings on democracy's unsung hero, the Liberator Concussive. The Liberator Concussive is a light penetration weapon that actually starts you off with the 60-round drum, eliminating the grind that you'd normally have to do with the other 3 to get it. You unlock this weapon in page 1 of Steeled Veterans, but I'm sure most of you already have it by this point, and the only reason you ever see it is because you're scrolling past it looking for the coyote.
What were they thinking?
Despite being the most unique rendition of the Liberator, it remains overshadowed by the others, and taking one look at the stats will lead you to start drawing some conclusions as to how. With that said, what you trade out in raw DPS, you were given back with this weapon's signature function, the stagger rounds. This gimmick cannot be understated, and has saved not only myself, but countless other valiant heroes who would have met their end otherwise. You might be wondering though, how does stagger force actually work? Every enemy in the game will have a set of stagger resistance values that interact with each weapon's stagger force. There is also a check to see if the enemy would become staggered from the stagger check. If the check says no, then they simply flinch a little and continue their action. However, if the check says yes, then their last action gets cancelled and they enter a staggered state. The Concussive has a stagger force of 35, which is actually the highest value shared among the primary weapons. While this is enough to stagger all small to medium-sized enemies, you won't find much luck doing the same on large enemies, with a few exceptions. As a final note, for the stagger to work, you must shoot a region that is susceptible to light penetration, otherwise the bullet will just ricochet. If you aren't familiar with light penetration regions, this gun will teach you. Now that we're on the same page, I can move on and discuss this weapon's utility on each front. Starting with the bugs, you will find that this weapon performs at its fullest here because of their melee nature and general lack of armour. Time to kill doesn't really change with the little guys, but this thing becomes a certified team saver as we start to work up the ladder. The ability to completely halt rushing enemies like the Commander duo feels incredible, as you go from gambling your life with a melee to tapping them once with the Concussive and watching them fall backwards. With that said, these guys also suffer that knockback every single time they get shot, so you're offered one of 2 solutions here. Carefully tap your shots, only expending necessary ammo to keep them staggered while a teammate finishes the job, or hold down that trigger and use your knockback stick 2000 to send that idiot to another continent. There's a couple unique matchups I want to mention before I explain the real source of this weapon. The large spewers are a bit of a weird case, as the Concussive won't stop them from shuffling towards you, but will stop them from attacking you. Just a reminder that while nursery spewers always stay light pen, the bar spewer armor changes to medium from level 6 onwards. Something a bit more interesting, however, is that you can stagger impaler tendrils with the Concussive, serving as a really good tool to protect not only yourself, but fellow unprepared Helldivers. I didn't even know you could do this before I started testing the weapon, and I get to share this little clip with my live reaction anytime I get to tell someone.
Liberty, save me!
Holy shit. However, all of that pales in comparison to how this weapon combats the true menace of the bug front. These vile creatures remain hidden by their natural camo until they're about to strike, leaving us little time to react. How many times have you been jumped by stalkers, thrown 40 meters backwards, and died from impact? Well, no more. The Concussive gives you the upper hand against these guys, hitting them for a full second of stagger before they can recover and begin chasing you again. Not only that, and I must emphasize this, you completely cancel their attacks, no matter how far they were into it. This has turned the tide for me in moments where I've been jumped by multiple stalkers at a time, just tap firing to take advantage of their stagger and escape. With this in mind, I've taken to equipping the Concussive with the 4x scope, so I can save my teammates if I happen to not be close by. Between the Impaler tendrils and the stalkers alone, this weapon has saved countless teammates who will never know what I did for them. Truly, taking this weapon is a thankless job, but that doesn't really matter because you will always know how your team survived. Moving on to the squids, it's actually not bad. As it currently stands, the Illuminates still have the smallest enemy roster by a pretty wide margin, so while the weapon's utility is technically limited, it's impactful nonetheless. The main enemies you will see this affecting will be the 3 Overseers, but notably the standard one. Gone are the days of Overseers pinning you to the ground and killing you before you can get a chance to recover. More often than not, you will recover before the next swing, but you'll only have enough time to shoot the Overseer before they come back for round 2. Also, shooting their legs when they pull up their shield will expose their center mass again, allowing for an easier target to aim for. From there, the Crescent Overseer isn't that much of a threat at close to medium ranges, but the elevated Overseers can be a bit annoying to deal with. As mentioned earlier, the Concussive tends to apply knockback to its targets, but the value changes depending on the enemy, leading to some enemies becoming a bit harder to hit once knocked back. The Elevated Overseer is, unfortunately, one of these enemies, but the nerfs they received from the October 3rd patch will make them a bit easier for the Concussive to kill. Moving away from the Overseers, you can disrupt the attacks of the Harvester by shooting them either in the eye or these little weird wide sections on their back. The last one isn't all that practical, but I wanted to share that information regardless. The Illuminates really don't have a lot of units right now, but hopefully future updates will change that. Now as for the bot front, while this was far behind my least favourite faction to use this gun, it does have its utility. Unlike the bugs and the squids, the bots tend to have a bit more armor across the board, limiting where we can shoot our enemies to stagger them. This simple change forces us to think before we act, a very foreign and dangerous concept to most Helldivers. As is the norm, how you engage small enemies like the troopers won't really change, so it's straight to the larger units. With that said, I quickly want to get the bad stuff out of the way. The Scout Striders. These two have quite the duality to them, with the regular Striders being a non-issue, but the reinforced Striders being very annoying to deal with. From difficulty 8 and above, you're now limited to shoot either its rockets or its legs, both of which send it stumbling backwards like a clueless drunk. It also takes a minimum of 3 shots to destroy any of its rockets. All in all, this is just one of those unfortunate matchups. Moving into the good, however, we can start with the Berserkers. Lucky for us, the highest level armor that they are equipped with is light armor around the chest, with the rest of their body being different grades of unarmored. Not only does this help ensure that you can stagger them when they ambush you, but you'll be doing almost the maximum amount of damage possible since the bulk of the body is below light penetration. Shifting towards the Devastator family, this is where you'll start to be fighting more medium armor. When you're facing off against these units, I would recommend just focusing in on their stomach and opening fire. Not only will each shot stagger them for 1.4 seconds, but this being an unarmored 2 region means that you'll be doing the full intended damage to them per shot. Ideally, you don't want to focus on the other regions, instead simply treating them as a method to keep them staggered as you reach their stomach. The rocket pods on some Devastators might look tempting to shoot, but you're basically doing no real damage to them by focusing these areas, and they don't even count as a lethal region. On a similar note, when you find yourself fighting heavy Devastators, you want to first target either their gun arm or their leg so they drop their shield and reveal their center mass. Understanding this makes fighting them much simpler and is even essential if you want to take on the Incendiary Core. This faction is home to 2 different types of shield Devastators, one of which being equipped with a shotgun that can instantly obliterate you. So staggering them becomes the difference between being alive and being remembered. Beyond this point is a no-go zone, where the larger enemies either have too high of a stagger resistance or are just outright immune to stagger. I don't want you guys to start shooting a Bile Titan and wonder why it's not doing anything.
Why isn't this working?
With this newfound information, I want you all to dust off your concussives and apply what I have shown you today. Go forward and teach our fellow Helldivers the true strengths of this weapon so it can shine alongside the rest. This project took me a bit more time to make than the last one did, so I hope you enjoyed it. Until we meet again, have fun.